Well, we finally made it another week, right? We're going to try to keep this thing going at least until summer comes along, because summer, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. But I'm super excited to be back for episode 36 of the Nation80 podcast with my host, Mike. Mike, what's going on?
What's going on, Rodney? Doing pretty well. Can't wait to talk about some stuff today. I think it's always funny. I feel like we should have like a pre-show recording where we talk about our issues with our children.
Yes, yes.
To relate to the people that watch this channel.
You know what? I should just make another channel talking about the things that I deal with as a parent, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like that channel might get more subscribers than this channel does, right?
Well, it should be like, I don't know if you ever say there's a Family Guy episode where Peter Griffin does a thing called "What Grinds My Gears," and I feel like that should be like a thing for us. Like, what grinds my gears? Kids not flushing the toilet, you know?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Mike, as always, we always get into a theme, and you know what? Here's another thing. We're going to start making a promise to post more because Michael's son Elias is already passing us up with subscribers, and so it's becoming abundantly clear that we're not putting our foot on the pedal as much as we should. Right now,
tried to flex on me.
And so we always know there's family stuff and personal stuff that has to be taken care of, but I must admit I can do more. I just don't, and I need to fix that. And so, I think we're almost at 30 subscribers ourselves, right? So it's time for us to get up there and, surpass that number as well. Because sometimes we get on the flow, those videos are coming through, we start getting some views, and then we just seem to just die off a little bit. And then we come back and then we're like, man, we just lost all that momentum because people who are listening are now gone, right? So it's something that we intend on working on. But until then, Mike, how about we start by talking about what we've been digging this week? I went last week. I started it off. Why don't you start us off this week?
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so, oh man, I became that guy. That is now a 2 iPad person this week. So I have an iPad Pro that I purchased a couple of years ago. I love it. It's a 12.9 inch one. It's the biggest one they got. And I loved it. I really loved it. Still love it to death. But there was one glaring issue with it, is that it's big. It's big. And to do the things that I want to do, especially because, you and I both still have, daytime jobs. And the kind of stuff that I want to be able to do, especially on my downtime at work, it's hard for me to do with this big old tablet. And so I wanted to downsize. And so I thought, okay, maybe the iPad Air, maybe even the iPad Pro that's smaller. But no, I wanted something smaller than that. That was a little inconspicuous. That was easier to write with on my Apple Pencil. Easier to breeze through social media as far as looking for topics to research. And then really one of the really big things was reading. Because I really want to get back to reading. And reading comic books, and it's hard to read with one hand a 12.9 inch tablet. It's just hard to do. It's hard to do it in bed. I'm not gonna lie. There have been times I've tried to read it in bed with both hands. I fall asleep and the tablet falls on my face, and I'm like, So
yep, been there.
So I decided that I was gonna go ahead and snatch up the iPad Mini, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I love this thing. I love the form factor. It's the versatility of it. It's awesome. There are some issues that I have with it, really, and this is an Apple issue. It's not so much a hardware issue, but it's an Apple issue, and that has to be with the storage. So I got the cheapest one, which was a 64 gigabyte one, and the next level is to get the 256 gigabyte one, but you're paying almost another $200 for that. Okay. And there's no in between. And so 64 gigabytes is like, you can't really do that much. And so when I bought the device and I imported my cloud onto it, I was already at 55 gigabytes used. It's I was like, oh my God. So I deleted a ton of stuff. And I was trying to edit our last episode on the mini, it didn't work out because there's just too much. It was the last episode was like an hour and a half, and I put, as you know, the gameplay footage from whatever you or I are playing. Which, by the way, Proteus, I don't know if you saw it, Rodney, but Proteus is what I put on there for this last episode. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
first person shooter. People are into the old school Doom style first person shooters. This takes it to a whole nother level. You get it to 60 frames per second on the Steam Deck, no problem. It's an amazing, fast paced action game. I would definitely recommend people to check it out. So, anyway, the iPad mini, I love it. I've been messing around with it for the last couple of days. I actually got it here with me right now to write down notes for this episode. So I got that. I'm a two iPad person now. Really, it's the Pro has pretty much gone to Jen, so that she can consume media on while she works from home. And then when I need to edit on it to do episodes for the podcast, I'll do that. But man, this is I wish I had bought this sooner. It's super versatile, could do everything on there. The reading on here is amazing. So I'm really enjoying this thing. And then the other thing with it is that, and I've been diving deep into the retro gaming scene. I've actually started emulating on this iPad.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So I did this morning, and I've gotten to the point where I'm emulating up to Nintendo GameCube on this iPad. And it's cool because you don't have to jailbreak it. Uh it did take it was a more tedious process to do, only because I was being stupid about it. But in retrospect, I probably could have, it took me about 2 hours to get everything set up. And in retrospect, it probably would have only taken me 30 minutes. But I just wasn't paying attention, and I could have done things better. However, retro gaming on this thing is a beast. I mean, I haven't tried PS2 yet, but GameCube, I've been playing Mario Kart on here, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I've been playing Mario 64 on here, and it's amazing. Okay. And then, of course, all your classic systems run flawlessly on here. And
Mm.
so, my use case scenario for this is when I'm at work. Okay. So now I may not have to buy another retro handheld. I'll just bring my iPad mini, and
Mm-hmm.
I use my PS5 DualSense controller, and it works flawlessly. So win-win. So that's pretty much what I've been up to, man. The iPad mini has been I'm still learning things about it. I'm still trying to work out some, workflow things with it for the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing has been super versatile.
Now I didn't
And
catch it, but how much did it run you?
so this one, like I said, this one was the base model, and I believe it was $4.99 at Best Buy. I
Okay,
actually
that's
picked
not
this
too
one
bad.
up from Best Buy. Um, and I bought the purple one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so like jaded about this. Like, Apple comes up with these colorways for their devices,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe for certain colors it works, but like the purple, you can barely tell it's purple. It's that light.
Mm-hmm.
And which I'm down with because it's kind of like one of our colors for our channel. And
Mm-hmm.
so the PS5 DualSense controller that I have is purple. Looks
Mm-hmm.
amazing. The Ambernick RG35XX, which is in that atomic purple, clear purple, looks
Mm-hmm.
amazing. This, you can barely tell that it's purple. So whatever, it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I believe it was for the 399 or 499. I'd have to double check. And like I said, to get the 256, you're paying like another 150, $200 for it
Mm-hmm.
without any other extra benefits. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the key things, just like with the iPad Pro, it
Mm-hmm.
has USB-C with it. And so not only can you charge via USB-C, but you can hook up your external hard drive via USB-C, which is why I went
Mm-hmm.
to 64 gigs. So
Nice.
love this device. Going to be using it a lot in the future. Going to be reading a lot while I'm at work. So hopefully that'll produce more content for us in the channel, because comic books is definitely something that I want to get back into and start reading again. And
Mhm.
so I have 2 stories. I have a DC story that I actually just acquired, and then I have a Marvel story that I'm starting to read now. And so I want to get that. So hopefully within a week or 2 we'll see that on the channel. But when we do, it'll be because of the iPad mini.
Nice, nice. No, I've been thinking about that too because same thing. You know what I miss? I miss when Amazon had their initial audio. Well, no, it wasn't audio. The Kindle, the original Kindle, because the
Mhm.
original Kindle was set up like a book, and it made it easier to read. And they kind of strayed away from that, and it just looks like your normal tablet.
Mhm.
But the Kindle was set up to, take the place of a book, and it looked great. And it was small, handheld, cheap, inexpensive. So it made it very easy to kind of like get used to that. And I don't know how sales look these days. And of course, people don't like having 18 devices to do the same thing over and over again. But that's when you say that, that's what it makes me think of because that Kindle was right on time, right? The only thing was it wasn't color, the original one.
So
But
the only issue I had with Kindle, especially not even so much the Kindle, the
mhm,
book one,
mhm,
but like the Amazon Fire tablet, right?
yep.
I loved because they were cheap and everything like that. But the one thing that they did not do
Mhm,
or do well at, in fact,
mhm,
I still don't even think they have support for it, was the Marvel app to read your
mm,
books,
yeah,
which drives me insane. So it's
yeah.
like, well, why not? And then
Mhm.
so you had to try to go through the browser, and it just doesn't work well.
Yeah.
Um, and the way I figured it, it was $4.99, okay,
Okay.
for the base model. So yes, it is overpriced. It's Apple,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
but I'm so far down the rabbit hole on Apple right now.
Mhm.
Rodney, you may see me buy an actual Apple computer within a year or 2.
Look, if there's anything that I will attest to being one of the greatest devices, or even computers for that matter, it is a Mac, right? And the reason I say that, as an IT guy that works with a lot of Windows-based systems, a Mac just works. It's
Right,
never given me
right.
too much hoopla, too much drama. It just works. And they've been very durable. I've kept all of my Macs for longer periods of time. I never bought them brand new. I used to buy refurbished. And they've all, have served me 10 over a decade, right? Even my Pro right now is either on year 4 or 5 as I think about it. You know, if it wasn't for the fact that I wanted a gaming PC, I would have another iMac or Mac desktop here myself, just because I do love that. So I will also say the MacBook is phenomenal, right? The iMac or MacBook, you can never go wrong with. Whether you buy it refurbished or not, you can't go wrong with. It's just it always does what it needs to do. Don't
Mhm.
get me wrong, nothing's ever perfect, right? But if you're talking about borderline close, it just turns on, screen comes up, very little loading. I just don't recall having many issues. Oh, excuse me. I did. One time the hard drive died. That's the only one thing I will gripe about is that they do not enjoy you working on your own device, right? They
Mhm.
want you to bring it in and all this stuff. Because I had an iMac, I was able to change the hard drive out and all this stuff, but they've gone away from that. But so that is my gripe. But I will say that if you're going to ask how many times I had to maintenance my device, very little, very
Right,
little.
right,
You know, you just better pay for what you want off the rip instead of try to upgrade later. You know,
right. Yeah, because yeah, as we know, upgrading is not a huge thing for Apple.
no,
That's more
and it's
the
not cheap.
Windows side of it.
Yep, yep. And why go on YouTube and break your system?
Mhm.
Trying to get it done where you can just go ahead. Like, yes, I understand. We all know Apple is expensive, but I will say from the quality I've received, and I can only say this for the iMac and the MacBook. When it comes to the iPhone, as much as I love my iPhone, I'm well aware that once it hits a particular year, that battery is kaput. And
Mhm.
there's not much I can do about it because you can't replace the battery. And if you go to to the iStore or the Apple Store, the first thing they're going to say is, this is going to cost more than your phone. Might as
Oh,
well
yeah.
buy another phone.
Yeah.
right? So it's not necessarily worth it. But yes, I would totally say go for it. Because I'm the same way. I'm basically a Apple guy. Even my TV has the Apple TV app built
Mhm.
into it, so I didn't
Mhm.
even need the external Apple TV device, and I love it. You know, so I say go for it. All
Yeah,
right,
I can see that. I can see that.
yeah. So this week I went ahead and made a day one purchase. Well,
Oh
day
boy.
two purchase
Oh right. Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
I got Dead Island 2, right? And so before I purchased, I looked at a video of one of my favorite YouTubers playing the first level of the game. And I thoroughly was impressed what they had set up, the world they set up. So I didn't feel like I was and then I also looked to see if there was already those day one issues that weren't fixed and needed patching. And to my surprise, there wasn't, which was great. So
So it worked right out of the box, or
right out of the box, from what I see.
man, that is sweet. That is rare, but that is sweet.
Yes, yes. And so the only thing that annoyed me was that it was only on the Epic store and not Steam. Because this is a game, like I'm sitting here thinking about it now, Mike, because I don't know where it is. I don't know where my Steam Deck is. I haven't played
Uh-oh.
it in so long.
Oh my
I haven't
gosh.
played it in months, right? And it's just due to my work schedule that I haven't played in. Oh, I think it's in my case. Yes, it's in the case. It's in the case. Okay. So the Steam Deck is here, right? But I don't get to play it. And so when I get on my PC, I play on my PC. So I was like, Max Payne 3 is playing on my PC because of that damn Rockstar installer. And now with Dead Island 2, I'm playing it through the Epic, installer itself, which I hate because the only thing I have for Epic is Fortnite because my kids play Fortnite.
Right.
So, but anyway, getting back to the game itself, the game looks beautiful. The world is cool. It's not an open world game, that kind of tells you where you need to go. I didn't play the game long, but what I did play still remind me of the nostalgia of the first game. But these are two separate games. You don't need to play the first game to understand the second game at all, in my opinion. Even though I've read or heard that the games are kind of tied together, you don't really need to worry about that.
Mm.
Uh, it's also great to know that these characters aren't stereotypes, right? They have their own what we call it, personality, but I don't feel like they're making fun of my race when I'm playing the game
Okay,
because
good.
we all know the first game, that guy that I always joke about him all the time, the Jamaican rapper. I was not feeling that at all, right?
Yeah.
So, and then his little catchphrases as the game went on. This one, someone took some time to write these characters out and flesh them out, and I think they did a great job of it. So, and you have, I think, about 6 characters to pick from, so that's dope too. Now, here's where my negativity, I won't say negativity, but just my preference. I don't want to play this by myself. I bought
Right.
this game for one reason, one reason. I want to play it with Michael and my brother, right? So this is a game like I've gone through maybe the first mission and it was cool. It's not bad. The game is fun, but I'm here for the multiplayer, the co-op, and that more than anything. Because to me, I think it's bland and vanilla by itself, but it's fun when you got the crew with you, just tearing up
Right.
stuff.
Right.
So,
Right.
I've gotten to that point where it's just like, okay, cool. I got the game. It looks fun, but I'll probably take a pause on it until the rest of the crew gets it and we can all get together and play it. But I would do this with the division. I would do this when what was that one? Borderlands, and what was that other game that we Ghost Recon? Those games
Oh
that were
yeah.
open
Yeah.
world. It doesn't matter. I know my brother, on the other hand, he'll play right through it, and that's him, and that's his prerogative. But for me, I don't really touch these games unless I'm playing with the crew.
Mhm.
So yeah, there we go. But Dead Island 2 is what I've been really digging this week. I haven't really touched anything else. And I had the opportunity to kind of try to watch Ant-Man, didn't do it. And I didn't.
The new Ant-Man movie?
hmm Yeah.
Did you
Yeah,
buy it or is that already on Disney?
I have my resources how to
Oh,
get it,
okay. All right.
and so, I've been I've had it available to watch, I just haven't sat down and watched it,
Okay.
and
Okay.
to its testament, I haven't sat down and watched Avatar either, so it's not like it's only a Disney thing, it's just, my time is valuable, so I haven't really sat down to watch anything,
Right. Right.
and I will say I did start a Chris Evans movie called Ghosted,
Oh,
and
that kind of looks good. I want to see that.
I will say from what I watched, because I didn't finish it, it was good, and it had some pretty cool guest appearances. I won't say
Okay.
who they are,
Okay.
and maybe they show them in the trailer, but it was cool to see some of these people show up with Chris Evans,
Okay.
right? So it was a nice little tip of the hat. I'll say it that way. It was a
Okay.
nice little tip of the hat. They don't stay long, but they stay there long enough that you're like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Right. Yeah, but I
so
do go ahead.
so with Dead Island,
Hmm.
how much time have you gotten on that? I know you said you haven't got much time in it, but how much time have you actually, gone
Maybe,
on it?
maybe with everything, like, because you kind of do a little tutorial. It's not even really a tutorial, but that intro level or whatever. Maybe an hour, maybe an hour
Okay.
and a half. Hmm.
So the mechanics, I know we talked about this in the last episode.
Hmm.
Did you get a chance to experience, especially like because one of the things I was looking forward to
Hmm.
was the gore part of it, like
Yeah.
as far as slashing or burning or electrocuting, whatever. Did you get to experience that at all? Or
So at least on that initial level, most of your weapons are blunt anyway.
okay,
And so I didn't really I believe like the game opens up more after I finish that level. So I'll just say that way. So I believe like all I got was like a wrench, a steel pipe, and then I wasn't even really thinking about that part. I was just trying to light them up. There's some other mechanics like dodging and stuff like that I was trying to get used to.
uh,
So
were you able to confirm that it's more than just two-player multiplayer? Or
that I didn't confirm yet,
okay,
but I
because I would
need
like
to.
to, yeah, because as you mentioned before, like these type of games are best played with friends,
Hmm.
and so I'm really excited for this game. It's the one thing that kind of bummed me out. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they did that. I actually I guess I kind of know. I did not realize that Steam or Valve
Hmm.
takes a bigger cut from developers when they put their games on Valve or
Yeah.
on Steam, as opposed to other, making your own launcher or other launchers. Um, and so I'm assuming that's why they put it to Epic Games at that point,
Hmm.
um, which kind of sucks because when you told me that, I was like, oh no, now I got to go through because I know I can play it on my Steam Deck. I gotta go on to because like you said before, I gotta go on to Epic Games Store because I have a Fortnite account
Hmm.
because of the kid,
Hmm.
and gotta buy it through there, download it, and then add it to Steam as a non-Steam game. And so then I guess I could do it then. Um, but that's just extra steps, and it's stupid. I hate that. So I do want to at some point when we can figure out our crazy schedules get on here and cause some mayhem
I
to
agree.
these zombies because I'm really looking forward to this game. Not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so from what I see, Dead Island 2 allows Dead Island is plenty of fun as a solo campaign, but adding a few friends significantly amp up the zombie slaying. Thankfully, Dead Island 2 allows us to play in multiplayer lobbies with up to two other people in a session.
Oh, okay,
So
good.
looking at that, I believe maybe
So it sounds like three, right?
three. Yeah,
That's perfect for us.
yeah, that works for me. That's all I need right there. So, you know, this is perfect. Apparently, there's been reports that it's not working, but that's fine. They'll get it working. I don't have any problem with that. It's not like uh, things happen. I can give them some grace on that part. You know, as long as the overall game is working, I'm good. It'd be
That's
different. They were like, hey, we gotta. Well, I don't think it was Gotham Knights, but there was a game that something was just like, hey, we got to cancel this altogether because we just couldn't get this together at all, right? And that was horrible. But it is what it is. Mike, let's talk about something interesting here in the world of gaming that is I mean, these things happen. They always happen all the freaking time. It's just always, it still sucks. And throughout the years, it sucks, right? So let me explain what I'm saying here. When I was a kid, I really wanted a TurboGrafx 16, right? It was
okay.
this dope, it was this dope system. And the games looked interesting because the characters didn't look very, I don't know, they just look more diesel than your normal system, right? And you know, actually, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. I'm saying TurboGrafx 16. It was a Neo Geo, right?
Ooh, okay.
Neo Geo, right? I wanted that so bad when I was coming up, right? Now, here's the problem with the Neo Geo. In 1990, a Neo Geo cost $650. There is no parent that was going to buy you a Neo Geo for 650 freaking
Good
dollars,
lord.
right? Especially my parents, right? You want to know the average cost of a game on a Neo Geo?
What's that?
$200
What?
in 1990. A game on the Neo Geo cost $200 back in 1990, right? Look, it is 2023. I don't want to spend $200 on a game today. There's no way in 1990 my father or my mother was going to pay $200 for a game. Just not happening, right? So, why am I saying this? Right? Because when I came up, matter of fact, Mike, before I even get started, let's go back and look at the first thing that got us started in gaming. The price of the Atari 2600, right? The 2600 Atari in 1977 cost $200.
Mm,
$200,
mm,
right? Which is pretty pricey. And it makes me wonder because our grandfather and maybe my aunt Denise bought one and it was at my grandfather's house, my
mhm,
grandmother's house,
mhm.
right? That's where I remember playing it. I don't know who shelled out $200. I do wonder that, right? And so, guess what the cost of games were in 1977 for Atari?
How much?
$40, right?
Jeez, that's
Yeah,
still expensive. Oh my god.
way more than I thought. Way more than I thought, right? And so, my first gaming system was a Sega Genesis. And a Sega Genesis in 1989 cost $190,
Okay.
right? The average game was $50. This is what I'm used to, the price point I'm used to, right? And Mike, I remember you had a Game Boy. I think
Mhm,
we had one eventually, and your Game Boy was $90.
mhm.
Average price for games, $30, right? But we all know how the Game Boy was. There's no color, so you couldn't play at night. The worst thing in the world, waiting for a street lamp to come through, right?
Right. Yeah. Unless you found that one that accessory they did have an accessory
Yes, that you had to
that
put
you
on top
could
of.
plug in. Right. Yeah. But yes, I remember many times driving down to Texas for
Hmm.
Thanksgiving or Christmas, and
Hmm.
then streetlight, woohoo! Oh no,
Yeah,
streetlight,
yeah,
woohoo! No streetlight.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing I remember is the Game Boy used to kill the hell out of some AA batteries, right?
Oh,
Like
oh my god.
they used to go through them like clockwork. So anyway, the
Listeners like
Nintendo.
double A batteries. What?
Oh man, the Nintendo NES, $180 in 1985. The average price of games $45. And I'm gonna get to my point in a second, right? I just want to break down a couple things here. TurboGrafx 16 in 1989 cost $200. The games cost $50. Super Nintendo, $200. The games cost $60. Now we're starting to see an increase, right? Neo Geo, which was a system out of his own world, decided to be the most expensive and barely sold. Well, it was confirmed to have sold over 1 million units. But here's the thing: this is the game where Fatal Fury came from, Metal Slug came from, King of Fighters came from, because this was one of the first gaming systems that it was easily to port arcade games to the home system. And because of that, you had to pay the price for that. There was a game that we used to play when we were kids, me, Michael, and my brother. It was a WWF game, and it was an arcade game with Yokozuna and a few others, and they used to all have their own little superpowers. They made it like a Street Fighter version of it. And funny enough, Yokozuna couldn't be in the home version of the game or even the PC version of the game because gaming systems weren't strong enough yet to play them, right? So you could only play with him at the arcade and other bigger, heavier guys at the arcade because the graphics just weren't strong enough. And so here we are with the Neo Geo, the Atari Jaguar at launch in 1993, $250 system. The games were $50 each. That system was horrible. The PlayStation, $300. The original PlayStation, $300 in 1995. The games were $50 in 1995. The my my the system that kind of stole my heart for a bit, the Nintendo 64, $200. The games were $50. we I can go on and on here, but I'll stop here at the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was $200 in 1999, and the games were $50, right? And so you go, Rod, why are you saying all of this? Well, it's been announced that PlayStation or Sony has increased the price of their games to $70. And I've also heard that the new Zelda is $70. So these games are now starting to be hit these real crucial price points. And it doesn't surprise me because look, as you can see from some of the data I'm showing you, games stayed at the price for $50 for decades, right? And what I understand the increase in price, right? But that price can't be justified if the game itself is not hitting the value that it should hit. I'm looking at you, Cyberpunk 2077. I'm looking at you, Anthem. I'm looking at you, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, Destiny to an extent, and all those other games that come out incomplete, are not finished, or need to be patched, and you want me to pay $70. Like I don't care for many Nintendo games because of how they keep their price point. But guess what? More than other than Pokemon recently, those games work right out the box and are ready to go,
Hmm.
you know. But when you deal with that, and now you're asking me, look, I still can't justify $70 just because I'm a parent and I'm very careful with my budget. But I would understand more if the game comes right out of the box, ready to play. And all those systems I'm talking about, there was no DLCs, there was no patching. Those games came out $50, right? So it took it just blew my mind reading that to see that the Atari was only $40 in 1977,
Hmm.
right? I would assume they've been $20, $30, but $40. And then in 1999, games were still $50. And now we're in 2023 and we're at the $60 price point. And now we're about to move on to the $70 price point,
Hmm.
right? I want to be really, really upset, but I do understand in the grand scheme of things why the price is rising. Doesn't mean that I will always justify that price for a game, but it doesn't. But again, the same thing still rings the same. There's no way I'm paying 2K at $70. There's no way,
Right.
right? Because I know for a fact the game is going to be either halfway done or it's never going to live up to the standard that I want it to live.
Mm.
So
Mm.
why would I pay that? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
No, I feel you. That's a great point to bring up. I feel like I'm a little uniquely because I've gotten back into Zelda on my Switch. When they announced $70, I was like, man, okay, all right. I think you make a great point. With the exception of Pokemon, Mario games or Nintendo games work right out of the box. At least
mhm,
their main IPs. Okay. I
mhm.
I, I know the Mario Sports or whatever, Mario Soccer didn't do so well. But for the most part, when you talk about Mario, you're talking about Zelda, you're talking about what's the paintball one? Uh
A Splatoon.
Splatoon. You're talking about those IPs. You're talking about Luigi, you're talking about Yoshi. those IPs work out of the box and they're amazing. Okay. The only reason I still play my Nintendo Switch is for first party Nintendo games. Okay.
Mhm.
And I've recently have gone back into Zelda, okay, for the Nintendo Switch, which is
Mhm.
actually just a port of the Wii game. I never
Mhm.
realized that back in the day. Um, but the Zelda Breath of the Wild is just a port from the Nintendo Wii U. However, with that said, the game is amazing. This is the farthest I've gotten into this game. I've been playing this game for maybe I should have said this at the beginning, because I was talking about the iPad, but I've been playing this game legitly every day. Okay.
Mhm.
And there's so many things that keep getting introduced that I'm just like, oh my God, this is, I hate to say it, but it's amazing. Because you
Mhm.
hear so many people talk about Breath of the Wild is the greatest game of all time. Really? Really? Okay. I'm playing, I'm like, man, I'm still in the beginning. And yeah, it's pretty darn good. Okay. So when I saw the gameplay for the new Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom.
Mhm.
Oh my god! Because Nintendo, when they announced that it was going to be $70, of course, people lost their minds. But Nintendo said it will be worth it. I promise you.
Mhm.
Okay, and that is a bold statement to make, right?
Mhm.
And I saw the gameplay. They've had a Nintendo Direct about this. Saw the gameplay, and man, and it's not so much that it's graphically different. It looks graphically the exact same. All
Mhm.
right. But they've shown so much and they've shown little. Like you have no idea what's going on in this game as far as the story goes. Okay, they put out their final trailer, I think, last week.
Mhm.
And I watched it. I'm like, oh my God. And so I have to finish it. I am gonna be that guy that buys it at $70. I will,
Mhm.
because I'm enjoying the first one that much. And the gameplay that I've seen so far for Tears of the Sun are or Tears of the Sun, Tears of the Kingdom, I believe. I'm
Mhm.
thinking Bruce Willis and the Navy SEALs and the movie Tears of the Sun.
Mhm.
It looks amazing. And the freedom that you could do, the things that you can make, the mechanics, they just look amazing. Okay. And you think about like the polish that they put into this game, the vastness of this game. Okay. I just heard, the new Star Wars game is 150 so odd gigabytes. And people are
Mm.
like, damn, why is it 150 gigabytes? And people are like freaking out. I'm like, look, man, 2K is 150 gigabytes. Like
Mhm.
it's not a big deal, but they're like, it must be a big game. Okay. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom looks huge. And I'm
Mhm.
not just talking about like the world and the land, but like you're up in the sky.
Mhm.
And so I could justify spending $70 on a game like that. Okay. But for everyone else, whether it be PlayStation, Xbox, whatever PC IP, first party IP, I don't think I could do it because there's always a day one fix. There's always some issue. When Starfield comes out for the Xbox, I
Mhm.
guarantee you there's going to be, there's this hype around Starfield for Xbox because Xbox has not had a lot of first party titles come out.
Yep.
Okay, that's always been their downfall.
Mhm.
Whereas Sony always has all these first party titles come out. That's why people go to PlayStation to play all these games. And so I know that when Starfield comes out, it's gonna have issues. Hell, Redfall, a game that I was actually looking forward to. We talked about this I don't know, last episode or episode before that.
Mhm.
They were a live. It's a live service game. You always got to be online to play it. It's only 30 frames per second. if you're a console owner.
Mhm.
What? Like, you want me to pay $70 for this? No, no. Somebody better gift it to me or get on that discount.
Yep.
Now, granted, Nintendo, they almost never discount their games. And then
Mhm.
when they do, it's like 10%, right? Because people still buy them. Mario Kart 8, which is not a Switch exclusive game, it is another port from the Wii U, is still their number one seller.
Mhm.
Why? How many people are still buying Super Mario Kart 8? Apparently a lot.
That game is well over, I think, 7 to 8 years old.
People are like, why aren't they making another Mario Kart? Why would they? People are still buying it.
Look,
Okay.
you know what? To even keep it funky, let's look at Grand Theft Auto 5, right?
Right.
The Grand Theft Auto 5 is $70, but you got the amount of value that you got out of it that we have now. It's worth the $70, right? I haven't played that game in a while,
But it's a
but
classic game.
it's worth. It would have been worth seventy
Every penny.
dollars
Every penny.
because of all the Payday is a
Oh,
harder sell.
yeah.
I'm not going to say that Payday wouldn't be worth $70, but they would have had to add a lot more for it to be $70. But for what? But let's just say if they added a couple of those DLCs at release with it, it would be worth the $70, right? Because they update that game all the time. I would even say Destiny, even though I don't play Destiny. Destiny, from what I know, does a lot to keep that game up. And yes, you still pay extra for those DLCs, but they do a lot for that game. They keep on retooling it. They make it look great. So I can definitely say it'd be worth the $70,
One
right?
one quick note about Destiny, Rodney. Did you know? I told
Hmm.
you, I think in the last episode, I was watching Fringe because of Lance Reddick.
Yeah.
Did you know that he was a important character in Destiny,
Yes.
um, and B, when he passed away, they were holding vigils online in the game for Lance Reddick. He
Respect.
he apparently he the day before he died, he was in the game playing the game. There's this
Oh.
video of him playing the game. Like, I didn't realize he was like that. Like, it's cool to know guys that you like as an actor play the they buy into the we talk about Henry Cavill and buying into The Witcher, right?
Hmm.
Uh but Lance Reddick buying into his character in Destiny and then playing the game, like loving the game,
Hmm.
it's amazing. And so they held a vigil for him
Mm.
in online in the game, and that was dope. And I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I it, you and I haven't played that game in forever,
Hmm.
uh, but they've kept it up, and so it
I
was
will,
worth.
I will admit I've been thinking about going back to it because everyone tells me how great it is.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
But
yeah.
Mike, real quick, just because I'm looking at this chart right now, that this is from IGM. In the last year, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Xbox, and Sony all formally announced a bump in game prices from $60 to $70, and other AAA publishers such as Activision, Blizzard, EA, Square Enix, and Warner Brothers have quietly followed suit with games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Final Fantasy 16, and Gotham Knights. That's a horrible game to be trying to get $70 out of.
Mm,
In hardware, the PlayStation 5 got a price bump earlier this year across a number of regions, like you sent me a little while ago. So why are these prices in key? One key to understand why game prices seem to be increasing is that while the $70 AAA games is ostensibly a price increase, it is also not really an increase when you cast it in light with historical inflation and pricing. Game Industry Biz recently published an excellent analysis of what's going on here, which itself is based on another excellent analysis by TechRaptor from 2020 on how video game prices have changed since the 1970s. And that's basically what I was telling you about earlier. But
hmm
going off this chart, 1990 games were $40. In the 2000, they were $50. In 2010, they were $60. In 2020, they were $70. And there's going to always be hikes like this, right? Again, uh, we just been talking, about all these games. If you give me a great game, I have no problem buying it day one. You give me the hype, you give me the game, you give me great whatever. I'm a co-op man, so if you give me the co-op I'm a cyberpunk fan or a great cyberpunk world or something that I've been looking forward to,
Mm-hmm.
you sold me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm willing to pay the price. I understand that. There's people who work hard on these games. They need to get paid. I respect that part. But when you give me crap out the door and you expect me to pay $70 because, and the unfortunate thing is, if I was still in my 20s, I would have paid $70 for
Right.
crap,
Right.
you know? But now I'm older. There's no way you're going to get me to pay $70. And the first thing I do is I go on YouTube and I see someone say, oh, this game is broken, or the review say this game is broken. I will wait. I can wait until it hits $30, $20, maybe even $5, according to Steam,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it doesn't really bother me. So yeah, there we have it when it comes to this. I know some people just go, they're trying to just pillage every dollar from us, and some of that is kind of true. But I must admit, looking at this chart, I'm really surprised that gaming prices haven't been $70 already.
Right. Well,
You
and
know,
you know what? I think that like people who are getting upset about the $70 mark, I mean, you hit it on the mark. It's inflation.
hmm
It's inflation. I mean, we're seeing it now, not just with the gaming industry, but I mean, think about groceries, think about gas.
Yep.
Everything is increasing. All right. And in the gaming industry, when you see people get so mad about $70 games, yes, I don't want to have to pay $70 for a Pokemon game that doesn't work well. Okay. And they put out multiple updates and none of them are performance updates. Okay. Uh, so that's frustrating, of course. And so
hmm
it forces you to think about who you're buying from. Who are the developers you're buying from? Okay. If it's a developer you don't trust, don't pay that $70.
hmm
Okay. But if it's a developer you do trust, whether it be a Mario game or a Nintendo game, or and I'm just randomly throwing out stuff, but like the Star Wars, the last, Jedi Survivor to now, yeah, I'm gonna pay full price for that because I trust them, you
hmm
know? So it all comes down to what are you gonna be mad about? You gonna be mad about paying $70, or are you gonna be mad about transactions?
mm
Because that to me is the bigger evil of them all.
hmm
Like people should be more mad about microtransactions and I'm sorry, Elias is texting me because he's hungry and he's texting me pictures of Chef Boyardee that he's actually he Chef Boyardee. So I'm like, yes, fine, that's fine.
All good.
People should be more mad about the microtransactions in games than they should be about paying $70. Okay,
hmm
because the $70 increase doesn't really help those companies. Okay, it's the microtransactions that they get from all their other games, the billions of dollars that they're making off of everybody. Okay,
hmm
think about Fortnite
hmm
and the billions of dollars that they've made off of microtransactions just for a costume upgrade or
Yeah.
skin upgrade,
Yeah.
you know? So I don't mind, when Tears of the Kingdom comes out, there's a really good chance I'll buy that game day one.
hmm
I'll probably buy the physical cartridge for that one because I had the physical cartridge for Breath of the Wild. So I don't often do that, but I trust that this IP is going to be good and it's going to come
mm
out good day one. I
Yes,
trust that. I
I
trust
agree.
that. Anything else, it's hard to. I've been burned on certain games. Redfall. I'm not. Yeah, no, no. There's no way. There's no way. I'm gonna
Yeah.
pay full price for that game.
Yeah,
With
I
as many
agree.
issues as they're having. So,
Suicide
uh,
Squad, I wouldn't pay full price either.
hell no, hell no,
Yeah.
no,
There's
no,
no way
no, no.
you can come back and be like, "Hey, all right, so not only did we fix the game, but it's $70." No, it's not
Yeah,
working that way. And
yeah,
like I said, 2K, even if I bought Madden, I wouldn't do it either just because of their history of taking a year off and not producing a great game whatsoever. It's just not worth it,
Right.
you know. But we'll see what happens now things go, because there's always something. But Mike, it did bring up a good point, because I didn't think about this. What do you think the increasing of games does for something like Xbox Game Pass? Do you think we're going to see a price increase in that, or is that going to be the way to go so that we can still get a reasonable price on games? Or justify, like, I mean, think about it. If they even went up from, because I think the lower tier Game Pass is like $5. So
Hmm.
what if they turn that to $10? Like, come on, that sounds still like a hell of a deal for the games you get. But I haven't looked at their library lately.
Yeah,
So,
I think that yes, it's kind of like Netflix, right?
mhm,
Netflix every so many years, it really any streaming service will always increase their price, right?
mhm,
I think with what Xbox offers, because they offer much more than PlayStation as far as
mhm,
their online service, yeah, I can see them increasing that price. And people would be
mhm,
like, "Oh, I don't know." But it's like, look, would you rather play or pay that $70? So there's what is the game? High on Life
mhm,
with the people from Rick and Morty,
mm,
right? I want to buy that game
mhm,
eventually. But I know I have it on Xbox Game Pass because I still have my Game Pass. I'm gonna play it on Xbox Game Pass before I buy it. And I'm gonna decide whether or not this is a game that I want to legitly buy.
mhm,
It's almost kind of like a Blockbuster membership, right? Everybody's like, "Blockbuster, what the hell is that?"
mhm.
You're
Apparently, you still
literally
go to Indiana.
yeah, you're literally renting games for a subscription per year, okay? And you're not paying it's not like you're paying $100 per year or anything like that, but,
Mhm,
um, you're renting these AAA and a lot of these games are coming out day 1
mhm,
on Game Pass. And so which is again one of the reasons why Sony was like, "Oh my god, I don't want you to take Call of Duty."
mm,
So I think that Game Pass will probably increase its price.
mhm,
You've seen that with the Nintendo online service with their classic games, to
yeah,
which I still subscribe to, which I'll probably stop this year because I emulate everything.
mhm. I was
But
gonna say Sony has its own little subscription thing that is out or coming out,
it
and
is out. It's out.
mhm,
They're still playing catch up to Xbox,
mm,
but it's progressively getting better to the
mm,
point where I will probably end up getting it
mm,
because we've had this discussion: do we buy consoles or not?
mhm,
I'm eventually going to buy a PlayStation 5, and that'll be my absolute last console.
mm,
Um, but in the meantime, I'll there's a good chance that I'll get that PlayStation service
mhm,
and play on my cell phone with the bare bones controller, their
mhm.
PlayStation edition one, which I do intend to get. I might actually just buy it now. I don't know. Do a video on it.
Yeah, I always go back and forth with a couple of things. I told you about my sound system. I want to buy a record player.
Mhm,
Every so often it creeps in me to maybe buy a PlayStation, but at the same time, because I already have something that works well, and I know what's going to happen, it'll fall off
mhm,
when I purchase something else.
mhm.
Right? So I don't know. It's a hard decision to make. Um, Regardless, I think there might be a slight chance I buy the PlayStation 5 as well, but same thing, this will probably be my last gaming system.
Right.
And I never thought I'd ever get to the point that I would say that.
Well,
But
and because honestly, there might not be another gaming system after this.
this is true. This is true, right? Or just the translation now over to the PC, it's going to be
Mhm,
even more bigger. I think there's always going to be the room, and I don't even really add Nintendo to this, right? Because if Nintendo gives me another groundbreaking console as like the Switch, then I'm probably down.
right.
But they would really need to work hard to do that, because the Steam Deck has really done a lot to make it harder for someone like me to justify having a Nintendo Switch related
Mhm,
device, you know,
mhm.
because I don't want to, I
Absolutely.
was thinking about it. If I go travel, I don't want to take all that with me. I
Right,
want to take one system with me, my
right,
iPad at that, right? I really hate it when my time card doesn't allow it to be done mobile, right? And I have
right.
to do it on a freaking PC. I'll just go to the hotel business center instead of bringing my freaking laptop with me because it's just not what I personally enjoy, you know. But that's neither here nor there. So to continue on, Mike, we've kind of like knocked this thing over the head when it came to games. So let's keep this thing going towards till the end of the show. Is there, I don't know, let's make a prediction here, right? Just as far as the gaming landscape. Uh, are you thinking that let's even keep it on the pricing of gaming? Do you think we'll see do we ever think we'll see the day where we eventually just finally stand up to these gaming studios and no longer pay these prices? Or is it just that the urge, the need, the want for something new always kind of trumps even what we get?
Yeah, that's a interesting question. I think that there is a niche group, and that niche would be us, people our age, people that came from, we didn't have anything until now. Imagine giving your daughters the original Game Boy now. They'd be like, "What is this? This is BS." Uh, and now I'm telling them, "Look, this is what I had to play with back in the day. All right, you guys got PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, X, S, you've got VR headsets, Oculus Rift, whatever, all this technology, and it's
Mhm.
amazing. Um, However, for me at least, man, yeah, it's gonna keep going that way. It's gonna keep going the way where people are gonna buy whatever companies put out because there's not a lot of voices out there. There's not a lot of us that are gonna go out there and say this is enough. Okay, and it comes back to the microtransactions.
Mhm.
We all know microtransactions are bad. Why am I in 2K paying for $100 Jordans that I can't wear in real life?
Mhm.
It doesn't make my character better. Why am I paying $100 a year in microtransactions in Fortnite, a free game,
Mhm.
to look like The Rock or the Joker or whatever other character that they're putting out? Why? I don't understand why. Okay? Because that's what the majority wants. And unfortunately, majority rules. So yes, I it's never gonna stop. It's all about the trend. If microtransactions are trending, the companies are gonna keep doing it. I can't remember the article or even the former VP or whatever CEO that was talking about this for this particular gaming company, but he was like, "Why should I put money into making a really good game for solo experience
Mhm.
or multiplayer experience when I can make these games and put microtransactions in them?" I know there are 10% of people that aren't going to like them, but the other 90% are buying them. They've made me a billionaire. So, yeah, I my prediction is nothing's really going to change. However, I will say the cool thing, and this just came out. Nintendo just had their indie showcase. All
Mhm.
right. And it was great. It was amazing. And I am looking forward to all these games that are coming out or are already out. Only because I'm not because I'm going to play them on the Switch, because they're already out or coming out before the Switch to Steam. Okay. And so you're starting to see a lot of these indies come up. A lot of indies come up. And I think people are starting to really catch on to the indie game and pay attention to these small companies making these great games. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The game that I posted in the last episode, the gameplay footage, Proteus, is an amazing game. I urge everyone out there to play Proteus.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's fun. It's exciting. They do a lot of things that it's kind of like a remaster, but they introduce a lot of cool mechanics and they refine it and they make it look modern, and it's a really fun game. And a lot of these guys will, ask for Patreon, money or whatever like that. And I have no problem paying that money for them because I want them to
Yeah.
make more. Okay, because they're pushing the limits of gaming. Whereas these big companies are following a formula.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, will people continue to buy the triple A's, the whatever trend is going? Yeah, absolutely. But I think my hot take, my prediction is that we're going to see a significant increase in indie gaming. And I think that's something that people should really look into. Rodney, most of the games that I've bought over the last year are indie games, and they're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hold on. Let me pull this up real quick, because they're just they're amazing. And I just bought a bunch of them, and it was, oh my god, it was amazing. Of course, the only thing that here, let me pull up my phone. Let me just pull up on my phone. I tried to pull on my iPad, but I haven't logged into Steam yet. And it's like, oh, give me the passcode and this and that or whatever. And I don't have time for that. Um, but there are so many. There's so many games. There's one called 12 is Better Than 6, and it's a top down shooter, and it's like a bicolored game, so there's not a lot of colors to it, but it's a western, and it's amazing. It's a twin stick shooter. It's just amazing. Um, there's another one that I've been playing called Blue Fire, and the best way I can describe it as it's a mix between Super Mario 64 and Zelda,
Mm-hmm.
and it plays great. There's Horizon Chase. It's a great game. There's Sniper 2, great game. There's Door Kickers Action Squad. It's an amazing side-scrolling game. Like, it's just, there's so many games that people should be playing right now. There's a game called Ghost Song,
Mm-hmm.
which is quote unquote Metroidvania. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And it looks amazing. It plays amazingly. I love this game. So yes, I think the trend is gonna be people are gonna keep buying whatever the companies keep trending out. All right. Uh but my thing is that my hot take would be that indie games are going to continue to skyrocket, and I think they're going to continue to improve.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to start seeing it more. Like, you already see it on the Nintendo Switch. All right. But I think people on the PlayStation console and the Xbox console, especially Xbox, I think, because they're starving for games,
Mm-hmm.
especially first person or first party games. I think that they're going to start catching on to this and be like, wow, let's pay more attention to uh these indie games, because they're pretty awesome,
They
and
pretty
I
much don't have a choice because I'm thinking of like Among Us for one, and there was a few other games that came out that I mean, even Minecraft started off as an indie game, where
mhm,
these games, no matter what the AAA title is, they haven't made money like that, right? If you really think about it, other than let's say Fortnite, because Fortnite came from Epic, but if you look at everything else, that really like got especially to the younger crowd it was these games that were on that didn't even really cost a lot of money to make, and this were big doings. Among Us was one of those games, and I don't know why it escapes me now, but there's a handful of other indie games like that where they
Mhm.
made money hand over fist.
Mhm.
That the game had to like. There's hasn't been many other than maybe Call of Duty. There hasn't been many AAA titles that really have excelled and captivate an audience like that. Even Pokemon, used to do it with Pokemon Go, but they definitely don't have that same appeal anymore.
Mhm.
So, it's just quite interesting to see all of that stuff, you know, and I agree with you, Michael. I think AAA games have a run for their money because, just some people love it when their favorite YouTuber finds this obscure game. If you look at, like, for example, there's this one guy called Corey Kenshin. While he does play AAA titles, some of his more exciting titles is games that we've never heard of,
Mhm.
right? And so when you have stuff like that, why do you even bother with AAA games? AAA games is more for us than it is for someone who's younger than that. So, you know, it's going to be that way. I think that landscape, like you said, is changing. Xbox does need a win, and to be honest, even Sony kind of needs a win at this point because I don't know. Well, Ghost of Tsushima came out, but there's some reason it just doesn't, the attention span of games don't hold as long as they do either, you know? So there's nothing really of that, Spider-Man came out a couple years ago and we've kind of moved on. Spider-Man 2 should be out soon. But
Mhm.
you gotta pump these things out even faster than before because
Mhm.
they go so quick. And then here's the thing, don't make it long because then you lose the audience because it's too long,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you got to hit that sweet spot in between, And so these other classic titles like your Final Fantasies and the RPGs that used to take 200 hours, no one's playing that the way that they
Right.
used to. You
Right.
know, telling someone 14 that they're going to play that, they really have to enjoy that to play it. I can't get my daughter to even play Sonic the Hedgehog sometimes, you know, because it doesn't fit her mold. And as soon as she hits a challenge, she doesn't want to do it, you know? So yeah, I think this is the wave of the future. I'm interested to see how things go. I do feel like even though it died, the Google Stadia is going to come back in a different type of way for Sony and Nintendo and Xbox, where there's no longer need of a game console. You're just streaming online until once more people get used to the fact that you don't own the game outright physically. But
Mhm.
that's the hard part for most consumers still is that, oh, I don't physically own the game. You can remove it from this studio anytime. I don't want to deal with that,
Mhm.
you know. But we're going to eventually get to the point, just like we do with streaming music, that they are going to get used to it. And then why do you even need a whole physical console when
Right.
you can play over cloud?
Yeah, and
You know?
I think that's where you hit it on the point where it's gonna be a digital only type of
Mm-hmm.
experience, which is
Mm-hmm.
fine because as a PC gamer, we've been digital only for I feel like
Quite some
decades. When was the last time we bought a CD to install a game, you know? Like,
man.
Steam has made it a digital only uh experience
Yep.
for PC gamers.
Like no other. Like no other. Because even I remember I think I had Alan Wake, and Alan Wake had been discontinued for a while in the Steam store. And that game I still got to play for quite some time. If there's
Mhm.
a game I still wish I could play that's been away from the Steam store and I don't think it's coming back, it would be Transformers War of Cybertron,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Because it's been out of, due to licensing, it's been gone forever. And I never finished that game, but I really love to go back. 'Cause I think there was two or three of them. I think two for the most, but it would have been great to go down and finally play that game again, whatnot. But most of that Steam still keeps. They even tell you, "Hey, this game will soon be no longer for sale. So if you want it, you can get it now, and it's still available for you to download, until further notice." Right? Whereas I watch albums leave Apple Music and there's no coming back, or it takes forever. There's always something that's going on with it. So, you know, there's always going to be that curiosity, but just like we've talked before, and we kind of being a dead horse, that I will always, if the game is worth it, I'll be there to buy it for $70. But
Right.
there's already certain titles, certain people with a history that I'm just like, no, it'll never happen. Or there better be a lot of proof that you guys are looking good out the gate for me to purchase.
Hmm.
But Mike,
Yeah, no, I think that like again, you hit it on a mark. It's I think we're gonna get to a point where it it's gonna be all digital for the consoles,
mm,
and I think we need to start really thinking about should we be collecting the physical versions of games?
that is true.
Okay, because like you said, with Transformers, I just looked up on Steam. It's still not on Steam.
Hmm.
Um, Once it's gone,
Hmm.
right? So unless you have a physical copy of that game, it's gone.
You out of luck.
And I think Nintendo is the only game or system that I still buy physically from.
Yeah.
So in like I when I buy the PlayStation 5, it's not gonna be the one with the disc because we've seen now what games come with the disc. They only come with a portion of the game. You still have to download a majority of the game. So what's the point,
Hmm.
right? So if I can get the next Zelda game and have that be it, and then hopefully it's not, you still need 30 gigabytes to download from Nintendo eShop, you know, then
Which
I'm
is not a
straight.
fast downloader at all. Oh my
No,
god.
no, then fine. Uh, but I think people are gonna have to start realizing
Hmm.
because we've seen this before, especially overseas, where Sony has at least I don't think with gaming, but with movies and TV shows, if you
Hmm.
bought it digitally and that license, as you mentioned before, has run out
Hmm.
or expired, then you're shit out of luck.
They try to
Because
do
then
that with the
Sony pulls it.
PSP.
Yeah,
They try to do that with the PSP. They tried to kill the whole library for it while people still had it, and they were like, "WTF?"
right.
You know. So, yeah, we're always going to see stuff like this, and we'll just keep on looking to see what's going to happen in the future. Because I don't know if I can do physical these days because I don't have room for it. But
Right.
at the same time, I do understand the need for it in certain cases. But Mike, it's that time. It's time to shut this down for another week. And we'll come back and we'll talk some more. Maybe we'll even finally get to do another special project because it's been a while, you know. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Nation80 podcast. I'm your host, Rod, with Mike. And like every time we say before, keep your imagination up, and we'll see you on the next episode.